The ship was quiet. Lieutenant Kim Dae-ho sat alone in the observation room, looking out at the endless darkness of space. He had been on the Hangul Pioneer for 6 months now, and every day felt the same. Wake up, do his work, eat, sleep, repeat. The deep space mission was important, but it was also boring. Nothing ever happened this far from Earth. Dae-ho was a simple man. He had joined the Korean Space Agency because he wanted to see the stars. He wanted adventure. But so far, the only adventure he found was fixing broken machines and writing reports nobody would ever read. He was about to leave when the alarm sounded. Red lights flashed across the ship. Dae-ho ran to the bridge, his heart beating fast. When he arrived, Captain Park Yoon-ji was already there, staring at the main screen with wide eyes. "What is it?" Dae-ho asked. "A signal," the captain said. Her voice was calm, but Dae-ho could see her hands were shaking. "A distress signal. But it is not human." The bridge went silent. Everyone looked at each other. "Not human." "Where is it coming from?" Dae-ho asked. The navigation officer pointed at the screen. "About 2 hours from here. A small ship. It is damaged and drifting." Captain Park thought for a long moment. Going to investigate was dangerous. They did not know what they would find. Protocol said they should report to Earth and wait for instructions. But that would take days. Whoever was on that ship might not have days. "We go," the captain said finally. "Prepare the ship." 2 hours later, the Hangul Pioneer found the alien vessel. It was small, maybe the size of a bus, and it was badly damaged. Burn marks covered its surface. Holes in the metal showed where something had attacked it. "Life signs?" the captain asked. Dr. Lee Salmon checked her instruments. 1. Very weak. Whatever is in there. It is dying. They brought the alien ship into their cargo bay. Dae-ho was part of the team that went inside. The air was cold and smelled strange, like flowers and metal mixed together. Emergency lights flickered on and off, making shadows dance on the walls. They found her in the main room. She looked almost human. 2 arms, 2 legs, a face with 2 eyes, and a mouth. But her skin was pale silver, like moonlight made solid. Her hair was white and seemed to move on its own, floating around her head like she was underwater. And when Dae-ho got close, he saw her eyes were closed. But behind the lids, he could see a soft purple glow. "She is beautiful," someone whispered. Dr. Lee pushed forward and checked the alien woman. "She is alive, but barely. We need to get her to the medical bay now." They carried her carefully through the ship. Dae-ho could not stop looking at her face. She looked peaceful, like she was only sleeping. But the wounds on her body told a different story. Someone had hurt her badly. In the medical bay, Dr. Lee worked for hours. Human medicine was not made for aliens. She did not know if her treatments would help or harm. But she had no choice. Without help, the alien woman would die. Dae-ho stayed outside, waiting. He did not know why he felt so worried about a stranger. But something about her made him want to protect her. The captain came to find him. "You should sleep, Lieutenant." "I cannot," Dae-ho said. "Not until I know she is okay." Captain Park studied him for a moment. Then she nodded. "I understand. But we have a bigger problem. Earth Command is asking questions. They want to know what we found. And they want to know what we plan to do about it." "What do you mean?" "Some people are scared," the captain said quietly. "First contact with alien life. This changes everything. Some people think we should have left her to die." Dae-ho felt anger rise in his chest. She was hurt. She needed help. What kind of people would we be if we just let her die? "The safe kind," the captain said. "The careful kind." She put a hand on his shoulder. "But I agree with you. We did the right thing. Whatever comes next, we face it together." 3 days passed. Dae-ho spent every free moment sitting outside the medical bay. When Dr. Lee finally let him in, his heart nearly stopped. The alien woman was awake. She sat up on the bed, looking around with wide, frightened eyes. When she saw Daeho, she pressed herself against the wall. Her hands glowed with purple light, ready to defend herself. "It is okay," Daeho said softly. He held up his empty hands. "I will not hurt you. You are safe here." She did not understand his words, but something in his voice made her stop. The glow in her hands faded. She looked at him with those strange violet eyes, searching for something. Daeho sat down in a chair next to her bed. He moved slowly, carefully, like she was a scared animal. He pointed at himself. "Daeho," he said. "My name is Daeho." She stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she pointed at herself. "Yira," she said. Her voice was soft and musical, like wind through trees. Daeho smiled. "Hello, Yira. Welcome to our ship." She did not smile back, but her eyes became a little less afraid. Over the next few days, Daeho visited Yira whenever he could. They could not really talk, but they found ways to communicate. He brought her pictures of Earth and showed her videos of oceans and mountains and cities. She watched everything with wonder, like a child seeing magic for the first time. In return, she showed him things. She could make light appear in her hands, soft and warm like sunshine. She touched a flower from the ship's garden, and it grew stronger and more beautiful. She was not just an alien. She was something special. The crew watched these meetings with curiosity. Some were scared of Yira. Some were fascinated. But everyone agreed on one thing. Nothing would ever be the same again. Humanity had made first contact, and the universe had suddenly become much bigger. Daeho sat with Yira one evening, watching the stars through the window. She pointed at the darkness and said something in her language. It sounded sad. "What happened to you out there?" Daeho asked quietly. He knew she could not answer, but he wanted her to know he cared. Yira looked at him. Then she touched his hand gently. Her skin was cool and soft. She did not need words. Her eyes said everything. Something terrible was out there. Something that had hurt her. And Daeho realized that their problems were only beginning. But as he looked at Yira's face, he made a silent promise. Whatever came next, he would protect her. He did not know why he felt so strongly about someone he had just met. But the feeling was there, deep in his heart. And Kim Daeho always trusted his heart. Weeks passed on, the Hangul Pioneer. The ship continued its journey through deep space, but everything had changed. There was an alien on board, and her name was Yira. Dr. Lee Salmon worked hard to understand Yira's body. She was surprised to find that Yira was not so different from humans. She breathed oxygen. She ate food, though she preferred fruits and vegetables. Her heart beat like a human heart, though it was located in the center of her chest instead of the left side. The biggest difference was her blood, which glowed faint purple in the light. "She is remarkable," Dr. Lee told the captain one morning. "Her body heals faster than ours. She is stronger than she looks, and her brain activity is incredible. She thinks faster than any human I have ever studied." But the most remarkable thing about Yira was how quickly she learned. Daeho spent hours with her every day. The ship's computer had translation software, but it was designed for human languages. It took time to adapt it for Yira's speech. In the meantime, Daeho taught her words the old way, pointing at things and saying their names. "Table," he said, touching the surface. "Table," Yira repeated. Her accent was strange, but the word was clear. "Chair, window, star. Chair, window, star." Within 2 weeks, Yira could speak simple sentences. Within a month, she could have real conversations. The crew was amazed. It took human children years to learn language this well. Yira did it in weeks. "How do you learn so fast?" Daeho asked her one evening. Yira thought about the question. She still struggled with some words, but she was getting better every day. My people live long time, she said slowly. We learn many things. Our minds are made for learning. But also, she paused, looking for the right words. I want to talk to you. So I work hard. Deho felt warmth spread through his chest. I want to talk to you too. Yira smiled. It was the first time he had seen her smile. It made her whole face light up, and the glow in her eyes became brighter. As her language improved, Yira began to tell them about herself. What she shared was both wonderful and terrible. Her people were called the Villani. They were ancient, far older than humans. Millions of years ago, they had traveled the stars, building great civilizations on hundreds of worlds. They were scientists and artists, philosophers and dreamers. They believed in peace and knowledge above all things. But the universe was not kind to peaceful people. 3,000 years ago, an empire called the Iron Dominion rose to power. They were conquerors, strong and cruel. They believed that all species should serve them. Those who refused were destroyed. The Villani refused. What followed was a war that lasted centuries. The Villani fought bravely, but they were not warriors. One by one, their worlds fell. Billions died. The survivors scattered across the galaxy, hiding in the dark places between stars. Yira was one of these survivors. She had been a scholar, studying ancient knowledge in a hidden library on a distant moon. When the Dominion found them, they attacked without warning. Yira escaped on a small ship, but her family and friends were not so lucky. I am the only one left from my home, she told Deho. Her voice was steady, but tears fell from her violet eyes. Everyone I loved is gone. Deho did not know what to say. What words could comfort someone who had lost everything? So, instead of speaking, he sat beside her and took her hand. They stayed like that for a long time. The crew of the Hangul Pioneer reacted to Yira's story with horror and anger. These were good people, far from home, working together for science and exploration. The idea of an empire that destroyed whole civilizations for power made them sick. How can anyone be so evil? Asked engineer Zhang Minho, a young man who had become one of Yira's friends. How can they hurt people who never did anything to them? Because they can, Yira said simply. That is enough reason for them. Captain Park called a meeting to discuss what they had learned. The crew gathered in the main hall, their faces serious. The Dominion tracked Yira's distress signal, the captain explained. They know a ship survived. They will come looking for her. And when they find us. She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. What do we do? Someone asked. We have two choices, the captain said. We can try to hide, turn off our signals, change course, hope they never find us. Or, she looked at her crew, we can go home. Warn Earth. Prepare for what is coming. If we go home, we lead them right to our planet, Deho said. Yes, the captain agreed. But if we hide, Earth will never know the danger. And when the Dominion finally finds humanity, we will have no chance at all. The choice was clear. It was not really a choice at all. We go home, Deho said. The crew nodded in agreement. As the ship changed course toward Earth, Yira found Deho in the observation room. He was staring at the stars, thinking about everything that was coming. I am sorry, Yira said softly. I brought this danger to you. I should have died out there. It would have been better. Deho turned to face her. Do not ever say that again. But your people, my people have faced danger before, Deho said firmly. We survived ice ages. We survived wars. We survived diseases that killed millions. Every time something tried to destroy us, we fought back. And we won. Yira shook her head. You do not understand. The Dominion is not like anything you have faced. They have conquered thousands of species. They have technology beyond anything you can imagine. Maybe, Deho admitted. But they have never faced humans before. There was something in his voice that made Yira pause. Confidence. Not the foolish confidence of someone who did not understand danger. This was something deeper. A belief that came from the very core of his being. Your species feels so much, Yira said. Fear, anger, love, hope, all so strong. It should make you weak. Emotions cloud judgment. They lead to bad decisions. Sometimes, Deho agreed, but with you, it is different. Yira stepped closer to him. Your feelings make you strong. They give you power that my people never had. Power to fight when fighting seems hopeless. Power to love when love brings pain. Deho looked into her glowing eyes. Is that a bad thing? No. Yira whispered. It is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. She reached out and touched his face. Her fingers were cool against his skin, but the touch sent warmth through his whole body. I have lived for 300 years, she said. I have seen wonders you cannot imagine. But I have never met anyone like you, Kim Deho. You make me feel things I thought I had forgotten. Deho's heart was beating so hard he thought it might burst. Teach me, she said. Teach me how to feel like you do. Teach me how to hope again. He took her hand and held it against his chest, where his heart was racing. I will, he promised. I will teach you everything. Outside the window, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, an empire of darkness was hunting them. But in that moment, Deho did not care. He had found something worth fighting for, and nothing in the universe was going to take it away. The journey back to Earth took 3 months. Every day felt longer than the last. Every night, Deho dreamed of darkness, coming from the stars. Yira grew stronger during this time. Her wounds healed completely, and she began to help around the ship. She worked with engineer Zhang Minho to repair broken systems. Her understanding of technology was incredible. Things that took human engineers hours to fix, Yira could repair in minutes. How do you know all this? Minho asked her one day, watching her reconnect wires inside a damaged control panel. My people created technology for millions of years, Yira explained. This knowledge is passed down through generations. It is inside me, like memory. That is amazing, Minho said. It is sad, Yira corrected him quietly. All this knowledge, and we still could not save ourselves. But Yira's greatest contribution was her warnings. She spent hours with Captain Park and the senior officers, explaining everything she knew about the Iron Dominion. They have thousands of warships, Yira told them. Their weapons can destroy cities in seconds. Their soldiers are bred for combat, strong and fearless. They do not know mercy. They do not understand surrender. Then how do we fight them? Captain Park asked. My people tried to fight them directly, Yira said. We lost. Other species tried to hide from them. They were found. Some tried to negotiate, to offer peace. They were enslaved anyway. She paused. I do not know how to fight them. I only know that everything my people tried has failed. The captain nodded slowly. Then we will have to try something new. When the Hangul Pioneer finally reached Earth, they found chaos waiting for them. News of the alien had leaked somehow. Maybe a crew member had sent a message to family. Either way, the whole world knew that humanity had made first contact, and that contact had brought danger with it. Captain Park was called to a meeting with world leaders. She brought Yira with her, along with Deho as an escort. They traveled to Geneva, where the United Nations had assembled in emergency session. The meeting room was huge, filled with representatives from every nation on Earth. Hundreds of eyes watched as Yira walked in. Some looked curious. Some looked afraid. Some looked angry. A man stood up. His badge showed he was a representative from a powerful country. His face was red with anger. This alien has brought war to our doorstep, he shouted. We should hand her over to this dominion. Let them have her. Why should humanity suffer for one refugee? Yira flinched at his words. Deho stepped forward, his hands forming fists. She is not a thing to be traded, he said loudly. She is a person. She came to us for help. What kind of people would we be if we threw her to the wolves? The safe kind, the representative shot back. The alive kind. Another leader stood up, a woman with gray hair and calm eyes. If we hand her over, what then? Do you think this dominion will just leave us alone? They are conquerors. They will come for us eventually. Whether we give them the girl or not. At least, this way, we have warning. We have time to prepare. The argument went back and forth for hours. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to hide. Some wanted to sacrifice Yura for a chance at peace. Finally, a young man stood up. He was the representative from Korea, and his name was Choi Hyun-woo. He had been quiet the whole meeting, but now he spoke with a voice that silenced the room. I have listened to all of you, he said. I have heard fear. I have heard anger. I have heard selfishness disguised as wisdom. But I have not heard anything that sounds like humanity. He pointed at Yura. This woman lost everything. Her family, her home, her entire civilization. She came to us broken and alone, and we saved her. That is what humans do. We help those who need help. We protect those who need protection. We do not abandon people, because it is convenient. Hyun-woo looked around the room. Yes, danger is coming. Yes, we might die. But what is the point of surviving if we lose our souls in the process? I would rather die as a good person than live as a coward. Silence followed his words. Then, slowly, people began to nod. Not everyone, but enough. The vote was close, but in the end, humanity made its choice. They would not surrender Yura. They would not hide. They would prepare for war. After the meeting, Deho found Yura standing alone on a balcony, looking up at the night sky. Her silver skin glowed faintly in the moonlight. They almost gave me away, she said quietly. Some of them wanted to. Some, but they did not, Deho replied. Most of them chose to protect you. 2. Why? Yura turned to face him. I do not understand your species. You barely know me. You have nothing to gain by helping me. The logical choice was to hand me over and save yourselves. Maybe, Deho admitted. But humans are not always logical. We do things because they are right, not because they are smart. That is foolish. Maybe, Deho said again, smiling. But it is also beautiful, is it not? Yura stared at him for a long moment. Then, something in her expression changed. The coldness melted away, replaced by something warm and soft. Yes, she whispered. It is beautiful. You are beautiful, Deho. All of you. Your whole species. She stepped closer to him. I have studied your history. You have done terrible things to each other. Wars, slavery, cruelty beyond measure. But you have also done wonderful things. You have created art that makes souls weep. You have shown kindness to strangers. You have loved so deeply that it hurts. Her hand found his. My people forgot how to feel. We became cold and logical, and it did not save us. But you feel everything. And somehow, impossibly, it makes you strong. Strong enough to fight the Dominion? Deho asked. I do not know, Yura admitted. But for the first time in 3,000 years, I have hope. She squeezed his hand. You gave me that hope, Deho. You and your people. Whatever happens next, I want you to know that you have already saved me. Not just my body, my soul. Deho pulled her close. She was trembling, and he realized that under all her calm and wisdom, she was still afraid. She had been afraid for so long. She had forgotten what safety felt like. You are not alone anymore, he said softly. Whatever comes, We face it together. I promise. Yira buried her face in his chest. For a moment, she was not an ancient being from the stars. She was just a person who had suffered too much, finally finding peace in the arms of someone who cared. Above them, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, darkness was coming. But on that balcony, in that moment, there was only warmth. And that warmth would have to be enough to light the way forward. The decision was made. Humanity would fight. Now came the hard part. Getting ready. Earth had never prepared for war against aliens before. They did not have space battleships, or energy weapons, or shields. They had rockets, and satellites, and brave astronauts. It was not enough. Everyone knew it was not enough. But humans were good at one thing: working together when it mattered. Within weeks, something incredible happened. Countries that had been enemies for generations put aside their differences. Russia shared technology with America. China worked alongside Japan. India and Pakistan cooperated like old friends. The whole world came together, united by a common threat. Yira watched this with amazement. On my world, it took centuries for nations to work together. She told Deho. You did it in days. Fear is a good motivator, Deho said with a bitter smile. No, Yira corrected him. Fear makes most species hide or fight each other. Your people chose something different. They chose to stand together. She was right. For the first time in history, there were no nations. There was only Earth. And Earth was getting ready for war. Scientists from around the world gathered in special research centers. Yira worked with them, sharing what she knew about Villani and Dominion technology. Human engineers studied the fragments from her damaged ship, taking them apart piece by piece. What they found shocked everyone. This is incredible, said Dr. Shin Yeji, the lead scientist at the Korean Research Center. She held up a small crystal that glowed with inner light. This power source is 1,000 years ahead of anything we have. And this. She pointed at a piece of metal that seemed to float slightly off the table. Anti-gravity material. Gram. We did not even know this was possible. Can we copy it? The military commander asked. Dr. Shin hesitated. Normally, understanding technology like this would take decades, maybe centuries. We do not have decades, the commander said grimly. I know. Dr. Shin smiled. That is why we are not going to do things normally. What followed was the greatest scientific achievement in human history. Working around the clock, teams of engineers and scientists reverse-engineered the alien technology. When they hit problems, they found creative solutions. When one approach failed, they tried another. They made mistakes, fixed them, and kept going. Yira helped wherever she could. She explained concepts that human science had not discovered yet. She guided them through problems that should have been impossible to solve. How are they doing this? She asked Deho one night, exhausted from another day in the lab. My people took thousands of years to develop this technology. Humans are understanding it in months. We are fast learners, Deho said. When we have to be. It is more than that. Yira shook her head in wonder. You think differently. My people followed rules and traditions. If something did not work, we assumed we were doing it wrong. But humans, you break rules. You try crazy ideas. You fail and fail and fail, and then suddenly you succeed. We call it stubbornness. Deho laughed. I call it genius, Yira said seriously. I am starting to believe you might actually have a chance. As the months passed, Earth transformed. Old military bases became spaceship factories. Rockets were redesigned to carry weapons instead of satellites. New metals and materials were invented, stronger and lighter than anything before. The first human warship was launched 6 months after the decision to fight. It was called the Unity. And it was beautiful and terrible, sleek and silver, bristling with weapons. It floated above the earth like a promise. Deho was assigned to the Unity as a senior officer. He stood on the bridge, looking out at Earth through the huge windows, and felt tears in his eyes. "We built this," he whispered. "We actually built this." Captain Park, who had been promoted to admiral and given command of the new fleet, stood beside him. "We built this because we had to," she said. "Because an evil is coming, and we refuse to bow to it." "Do you think we can win?" Deho asked. Admiral Park was quiet for a long moment. "I think we will fight. I think we will hurt them. And I think we will show the galaxy what humans are made of." She turned to look at him. "Whether we win or lose, that matters." The Unity was not alone for long. Within a year, Earth had a fleet of 50 warships. They were smaller and weaker than Dominion ships, but they were fast and clever. Each one was crewed by volunteers from every nation, working together in ways that would have seemed impossible just months before. Yira trained with the crews, teaching them everything she knew about Dominion tactics. She was surprised to find that humans were natural fighters. "Your people were peaceful," Deho reminded her. "Mine have been fighting wars since we lived in caves." "I used to think that was a weakness," Yira admitted. "Now I am not so sure." During this time, Deho and Yira grew even closer. They spent every free moment together, talking about their lives and their dreams. Yira told him about the wonders of the Villani civilization, the great cities that floated among the stars, the art and music that had been lost forever. Deho told her about Earth, about the mountains and oceans, about the small village where he grew up, about the grandmother who raised him after his parents died. "She was a strong woman," Deho said. "She survived a war when she was young, lost everything, but she rebuilt her life and raised me with love. She always said that the hardest thing in the world is to keep hoping when everything seems lost." "She sounds wonderful," Yira said softly. "She was." Deho reached into his pocket and pulled out a small ring. It was simple silver with a tiny blue stone. This was hers. She gave it to me before she died. Said I should give it to someone special someday. Yira looked at the ring with curious eyes. "What does it mean?" "Among humans, we give rings to people we love," Deho explained. "To people we want to spend our lives with." Yira was quiet for a moment. Then she looked up at him with those glowing violet eyes. "Have you found someone special?" she asked quietly. Deho's heart was pounding. He wanted to tell her. He wanted to give her the ring right then and there. But something held him back. Not fear. Exactly. More like respect. They were about to go to war. It did not seem right to speak of love when death was so close. "Maybe," he said finally. "But I think some conversations should wait until the fighting is done." Yira nodded slowly. "I understand. There will be time after." "After," Deho agreed. He put the ring back in his pocket, but his hand stayed there, touching it like a promise. 1 year after the decision to fight, the early warning satellites detected something at the edge of the solar system. Ships, hundreds of them, moving toward Earth with terrible purpose. The Iron Dominion had arrived. Admiral Park called all hands to battle stations. The human fleet moved into position, 50 ships against 500. It was a hopeless match by any logical measure. But as Deho stood on the bridge of the Unity, surrounded by humans from every nation on Earth, he did not feel hopeless. He felt proud. They had done the impossible. They had united a planet. They had built a fleet from nothing. They had prepared for war in months, instead of decades. Whatever happened next, they had proven something important. Humans would not go quietly into the darkness. They would fight. They would rage against the dying of the light. And maybe, just maybe, they would win. The Dominion fleet was massive. 500 warships moved through space like a swarm of metal locusts. Each ship was black as night, covered in spikes and weapons that glowed with cruel red light. At the center of the formation was the flagship, a monster of a vessel 3 kilometers long, carrying the Dominion commander. The fleet stopped at the edge of Earth's solar system. Then a message was broadcast on all frequencies. The voice that spoke was cold and mechanical, without any emotion at all. Creatures of this system, we are the Iron Dominion. You have taken something that belongs to us. The Villani refugee must be returned. You will also surrender your planet and your species for integration into our empire. You have 1 hour to comply. If you refuse, you will be destroyed. There will be no second warning. Anda. 2. Anda. The message ended. Silence filled the bridge of the Unity. Admiral Park stood at the center of the command deck, her face calm despite the fear that everyone felt. She looked at her crew, at Deho, at Yira, who stood beside him. Any suggestions? She asked dryly. We could run, someone said quietly. We could surrender, another voice added. Admiral Park nodded. We could, but we will not. She pressed a button on her console, opening a channel to the entire human fleet and to Earth below. This is Admiral Kang Jun of the United Earth Defense Fleet, she said. Her voice was strong and clear. To the people of Earth, do not be afraid. To our enemies, listen carefully. She took a deep breath. The refugee Yira is under our protection. She is one of us now, and we do not abandon our own. We do not surrender to threats. We do not kneel to tyrants. If you want a fight, you have found one. Her eyes hardened. Welcome to the Sol system. I hope you brought enough ships. The channel closed. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, across the fleet, cheers erupted. Humans shouting, crying, laughing, all at once. They were terrified, but they were also ready. The battle began exactly 1 hour later. The Dominion attacked with overwhelming force. Their ships were larger, faster, better armed. They expected the fight to be over quickly. They expected the humans to break and run like every other species they had conquered. They were wrong. Human ships were small, but they were agile. Human weapons were weak, but they were clever. And human pilots were brave, beyond anything the Dominion had ever seen. The Unity led the charge. Deho commanded a squadron of fighter craft, small ships that darted between the enemy like angry bees. They could not match Dominion firepower, so they used speed instead. They hit weak points, disrupted formations, and drew attention away from the larger ships. Target their engines, Deho shouted into his communicator. They cannot chase what they cannot catch. His squadron dove toward a Dominion cruiser, 3 times their combined size. Laser fire filled the space around them. 2 human ships exploded, their pilots gone in a flash of light. But the rest kept going, their weapons focused on a single point. The cruiser's engine erupted. The massive ship spun out of control, crashing into another Dominion vessel. 2 enemies destroyed with 1 attack. That is for our friends, Deho whispered. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human crews sacrificed themselves to protect space stations filled with civilians. Engineers worked under fire to repair damaged systems. Medical officers treated wounded soldiers while explosions shook the walls around them. It was chaos. It was hell. It was glorious. Yira worked on the Unity's bridge, monitoring Dominion communications and tactics. Her knowledge of the enemy proved invaluable. She predicted attacks before they happened. She found weaknesses in enemy formations. There, she shouted, pointing at a display. The flagship's shields have a harmonic frequency. If you hit that frequency with concentrated fire, the shields will collapse for 30 seconds. Admiral Park nodded grimly. Can you calculate the exact frequency? Already done. Yira sent the data to the fleet. But someone will have to get close. Very close. Inside their defensive perimeter. Doof. That is a suicide mission. The tactical officer said. Deho stepped forward. I will do it. Deho. No, Yira started. I am the best pilot we have. Deho interrupted. And we do not have time to argue. If we do not take down that flagship, we lose. Everything we have fought for. Everyone we love. It all ends. He took Yura's hands. I will come back. I promise. Before she could respond, he was running to the hangar bay. The flight through the Dominion fleet was the longest of Daeho's life. Enemy fire came from every direction. His ship was hit multiple times, systems failing one by one. Alarms screamed in his ears. His hands shook on the controls, but he did not stop. He could not stop. He thought about Earth, about his grandmother, about Yura, about the ring in his pocket that he had never given her. Not today, he whispered through gritted teeth. I am not dying today. His ship broke through the defensive perimeter. The flagship loomed before him, massive and terrible. He could see the bridge, could almost imagine the Dominion commander watching him approach. Daeho transmitted the shield frequency to the fleet. Then, he fired everything he had. His weapons were weak compared to the flagship's shields, but they were tuned to the exact frequency Yura had calculated. The shields flickered, rippled, and then, for exactly 30 seconds, they fell. Now! Admiral Park screamed into the fleet channel. Every human ship that could still fire aimed at the flagship. Missiles, lasers, projectiles, everything humanity had. The concentrated attack struck the unprotected hull like the fist of an angry god. The flagship's engines exploded first, then its weapons, then its bridge. The monster died in fire. For a moment, the battlefield went silent. Both sides stared at the burning wreck of the Dominion flagship. Then the impossible happened. The Dominion fleet began to retreat. They were not used to losing. They were not programmed to handle a commander's death. Without orders from above, their battle plans fell apart. One by one, the black ships turned and fled toward the edge of the system. Humanity had won. Daeho floated in his damaged ship, barely conscious. His life support was failing. His engines were dead. He could not move, could not call for help, but he was smiling. We did it, he whispered. We actually did it. Then everything went dark. He woke up in a hospital bed on Earth, 3 days later. Every part of his body hurt. Machines beeped around him. The room smelled like medicine and flowers, and Yura was there, holding his hand. You are awake, she said. Tears streamed down her silver face. I thought I lost you. I promised I would come back, Daeho said weakly. I always keep my promises. Yura laughed and cried at the same time. She leaned forward and pressed her forehead against his. You foolish, brave, wonderful human, she whispered. Do not ever scare me like that again. Deal, Daeho said. Then he fell asleep again, Yura's hand still holding his. Outside the window, the sky was blue and clear. For the first time in months, it was not filled with fear. Humanity had faced the darkness, and the darkness had blinked first. The weeks after the battle were filled with celebration and grief. Humanity had won, but the cost was terrible. Thousands had died defending Earth. Families mourned. Cities held funerals. The world cried for its lost children, but there was also joy. The impossible had happened. A young species with primitive technology had defeated the most powerful empire in the galaxy. News spread across the world, and for a moment, all of humanity felt like one family. Daeho recovered slowly from his injuries. The doctors said it was a miracle he survived at all. His ship had been destroyed around him. He had floated in space for hours before a rescue team found him. By all logic, he should have died, but logic had never stopped Kim Daeho before. Yura stayed by his side through his recovery. She read to him when he was too weak to hold books. She talked to him when he could not sleep. She held his hand through the nightmares that came in the dark. Why do you stay? Daeho asked her one evening. You must have important things to do. The whole world wants to talk to you. Leaders and scientists and journalists. You are famous now. Yura smiled softly. I am exactly where I need to be. But, Deho, she interrupted gently, in my 300 years of life, I have met countless beings, important people, powerful people, brilliant people. But I have never met anyone who makes me feel the way you do. Deho felt his heart skip. How do I make you feel? Alive, Yira said simply. Truly alive. Like the universe is full of wonder instead of pain. Like tomorrow is something to hope for instead of fear. She squeezed his hand. You gave me that. You and your strange, beautiful, stubborn species. When Deho was well enough to walk, they began spending time together outside the hospital. They walked through parks and watched children play. They ate at small restaurants and listened to street musicians. They sat by the ocean and watched the sun set. To Yira, everything was a wonder. She had seen stars explode and worlds form, but she had never seen a child laugh or watched waves crash on a beach. The simple joys of Earth amazed her. Why do humans make so much art? She asked one day, standing in a museum filled with paintings. My people had art once, but we gave it up. It was not logical. It did not help us survive. Maybe that is exactly why you needed it, Deho said. Art is not about survival. It is about meaning. It reminds us why survival matters. Yira looked at a painting of a mother holding a child. Something in her eyes softened. I think I am starting to understand, she whispered. As the weeks passed, Deho felt a question building inside him. The same question that had been waiting since before the battle. The ring was still in his pocket. He carried it everywhere, like a promise he had not yet kept. But he was afraid. Yira was ancient. She had lived 300 years and would live 300 more. Deho was just a human. He would grow old and die while she stayed young. What could he possibly offer her? One night, he found her on the observation deck of the rebuilt Hangul Pioneer. The ship was being prepared for a new mission, and they had been invited aboard as honored guests. Yira stood by the window, looking at the stars. You seem troubled, Deho said, joining her. Yira nodded slowly. I have been thinking about the future. My people are scattered across the galaxy, survivors hiding in the dark places. They need to know what happened here. They need to know that hope exists. Deho felt cold spread through his chest. You want to leave. I need to leave, Yira corrected. There are Villani out there who have given up, who believe the Dominion can never be defeated. I need to show them that they are wrong. I need to bring them here, to Earth, to safety. I understand, Deho said quietly. His heart was breaking, but he kept his voice steady. You should go. They need you. Yira turned to face him. Her violet eyes were filled with emotion. But I do not want to leave you, Deho. These weeks with you, these simple days of walking and talking and watching sunsets, I have been happier than I can remember. You have shown me what life can be. Then stay, Deho said, though he knew it was selfish. I cannot. Yira's voice cracked. My people need me. But you. I need you too. And I do not know what to do. They stood in silence, the weight of the moment pressing down on them. Deho thought about everything they had been through. The first meeting in the medical bay. The long nights of learning each other. The battle that almost took him from her. And he realized something important. He was not afraid anymore. Slowly, Deho reached into his pocket. His fingers closed around the ring. The simple silver band with the tiny blue stone. His grandmother's ring. The promise he had carried for so long. Yira, he said softly. I need to tell you something. She looked at him with those glowing eyes, waiting. I know you have to go, Deho said. I know your people need you. But before you leave, I need you to know how I feel. I have been carrying this for months, waiting for the right moment. I do not think there will ever be a perfect moment, so I am making one now. He held out the ring. Yira's eyes widened. I do not know how your people do this. Deho continued. Humans have a tradition. When we find someone we want to spend our lives with, we give them a ring. We ask a question, and we hope, with everything we are, that they say yes. His hands were shaking, but his voice was clear. Yira, you are the most amazing person I have ever met. You are kind and wise and beautiful in ways I cannot describe. You have seen me at my worst and my best. You have made me want to be better than I am. He took a deep breath. I know I am just a human. I will grow old and die while you live on. I know I cannot offer you centuries, but I can offer you every moment I have. Every breath, every heartbeat, all of it, for as long as I live. He looked into her eyes. Will you marry me? The silence that followed felt like eternity. Yira stared at the ring. Then, at Deho. Her eyes were brighter than he had ever seen them, glowing with light that seemed to come from her very soul. Among my people, she said, her voice trembling, there is a bonding ritual. When two Villani choose each other, they share their light. Their life forces become linked. From that moment, they live as one. She stepped closer to him. If I bond with you, Deho, you will not grow old and die while I live on. You will share my lifespan. Centuries together, instead of decades. But you would have to leave behind everything you know. Your family, your friends, the normal life you could have had. Deho did not hesitate. I would leave behind a lot more than that. For you. Tears spilled from Yira's eyes, glowing faintly as they fell. I have lived 300 years, she whispered. I have seen wonders and horrors beyond imagination. But I have never felt what I feel for you. I did not think it was possible. She took the ring from his hand and slid it onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Among my people, she said. There is no word for yes that is strong enough. So I will use yours. She placed her glowing hands over his heart. Warmth flooded through him. Ancient and vast and impossibly tender. Yes, she said, her voice breaking with joy. 1,000 times yes. Yes until the stars burn out. Yes until the universe itself forgets how to exist. She pulled him close, and their lips met. The observation deck filled with light, silver, and purple and gold, swirling around them like a promise made visible. And in that moment, two souls became one. The wedding of Kim Deho and Yira of the Villani took place on the observation deck of the Hangul Pioneer, exactly where he had proposed. It was a simple ceremony, but the whole world watched. Admiral Park officiated. The crew of the Pioneer stood as witnesses. Yira wore a dress of flowing white that seemed to shimmer with inner light. Deho wore his dress uniform, the medals from the battle shining on his chest. They had decided to blend their traditions. First came the human part. Deho placed a ring on Yira's finger, matching the one she already wore. He spoke words of love and commitment, promises to stand by her through joy and sorrow. Then came the Villani part. Yira took Deho's hands and closed her eyes. Light began to flow from her fingers, soft and warm like sunlight, through clouds. The light entered Deho, and he felt something change inside him. It was not painful. It was like coming home after a long journey. We are one now, Yira said softly. My light lives in you, and yours lives in me. What I am, you are. What you become, I become. Forever. Deho felt different, stronger, more alive. He could sense Yira's emotions like an echo of his own. Her joy, her love, her hope for the future. They were connected in a way deeper than words. Forever, he agreed. They kissed, and the audience erupted in cheers. The wedding was broadcast across Earth. Billions watched. People cried and laughed and celebrated. After months of war and fear, this moment of pure love was exactly what humanity needed. Messages poured in from around the world. Presidents and ordinary citizens, scientists and children, all of them saying the same thing. Congratulations. Thank you. You give us hope. But Yira did something even more important. She recorded a message and broadcast it into deep space, on frequencies that Villani refugees would recognize. To all Villani who survive. Her voice echoed across the stars. To all who hide in the darkness. To all who have given up hope. Listen to me. To me. To me. To me. Her image appeared on screens across the galaxy, reaching hidden ships and secret shelters where her people cowered in fear. I am Yira of the Villani. I was alone and dying, and I was saved. Not by our own people, not by the powerful or the ancient. I was saved by a young species called humans. They found me when I had nothing. They protected me when I brought danger to their door. They fought for me when logic said they should surrender. Okaman. Nover the door. Nover the Tekenar man. Nover the door. Her voice grew stronger. The humans defeated the Iron Dominion. 50 ships against 500. And they won. Not because they were stronger. Not because they had better technology. They won because they have something we forgot. Courage. Hope. Love. The willingness to fight for what is right. Even when victory seems impossible. She held up her hand, showing the ring on her finger. I have married one of them. His name is Kim Dae-ho, and he is the bravest person I have ever known. He showed me that the universe is not only darkness, that love can exist even in the shadow of death, that tomorrow is always worth fighting for. Tears ran down her silver cheeks. Come to Sol. Come to Earth. The humans will welcome you. They will protect you. They will show you the same kindness they showed me. You are not alone anymore. None of us are. She looked directly into the camera. This is not the end of our story. This is the beginning. And it starts here, in this small corner of the galaxy, with these beautiful, impossible creatures called humans. The message ended, but its effects would be felt for years to come. Within months, the first refugee ships began arriving at Earth's solar system. Villani survivors who had been hiding for centuries. Other species too, fleeing the Dominion's cruelty. They came because of Yira's message. Because of the hope she offered, Earth welcomed them all. It was not easy. Humans had to learn to live alongside beings who were completely different from them. There were misunderstandings, conflicts, growing pains of all kinds. But somehow, they made it work. The same stubbornness that had helped them survive the battle now helped them build a new society. The Unity, rebuilt and upgraded, became the first ship in a new fleet. A fleet that included humans and Villani and a dozen other species, all working together. They patrolled the borders of the solar system, protecting Earth from any who might threaten it. And at the head of this new alliance stood Dae-ho and Yira. They had become symbols. Proof that different species could not only coexist but love each other. Proof that the divisions that seemed so important were actually meaningless in the face of true connection. 1 year after the wedding, Dae-ho and Yira stood on the observation deck of the Unity, watching Earth spin below them. It was the anniversary of the battle, and the planet was covered in lights. Celebrations happening everywhere. Do you ever regret it? Yira asked softly. Regret what? Binding your life to mine. Leaving behind a normal existence. Choosing me instead of a human woman, a normal family, a simple life. Dae-ho laughed. I was never going to have a normal life. I flew a broken ship into the heart of an enemy fleet. Normal was not in my future. Yira smiled, but her eyes were serious. I mean it. You gave up so much. I gave up nothing, Dae-ho said firmly. He took her hands and looked into her glowing eyes. Before I met you, I was just floating through life, doing my job, following orders, waiting for something to happen. You gave me a reason to live, a purpose, a love bigger than I ever imagined possible. He pulled her close. I would do it all again. The battle, the fear, the pain, all of it. 1,000 times over. Because at the end of every version, I find you. Yira rested her head against his chest. She could hear his heart beating, strong and steady. Through their bond, she felt his love like a warm ocean surrounding her. We will have centuries together, she whispered. Centuries of adventure and discovery. Centuries of building something new. Centuries of annoying each other. Deho added. Yira laughed, a sound like bells. That, too. They watched as a new refugee ship entered the solar system. A Villani vessel, carrying families who had been hiding for 2,000 years. They were coming home at last. Look at that, Deho said quietly. We did that. We gave them hope. No, Yira corrected. You did that. You and your people. The Villani had given up. We were waiting to die. Humans showed us another way. She looked up at him with those violet eyes that he loved so much. Your species is remarkable, Kim Deho. In all my years, I have never seen anything like you. You feel too much. You fight too hard. You love too deeply. It should destroy you. But somehow, it makes you the most powerful force in the galaxy. Deho smiled. We are just doing what humans do. And what is that? He thought about it. About all the history of his species. The wars and the peace. The cruelty and the kindness. The darkness and the light. We refuse to give up, he said finally. No matter what happens, no matter how bad things get, we keep going. We fall down, and we get back up. We lose everything, and we rebuild. We face the impossible, and we find a way. He kissed her forehead. That is what being human means. And now, thanks to you, we get to show the whole galaxy. Outside, more ships were arriving. Refugees from a dozen worlds, all seeking safety under humanity's protection. The solar system was becoming something new, not just a home for humans, but a beacon for all who valued freedom and love. It would not be easy. The Dominion would return eventually. Other threats would emerge. The challenges ahead were enormous. But as Deho held Yira in his arms, looking out at the stars, he was not afraid. They had each other. They had hope. They had the stubborn, beautiful, impossible strength of humanity. And that was enough. It would always be enough.